Thank you so much for joining us for this continuing coverage of the catastrophic July 4th weekend flooding that happened over at the Texas Hill Country. Unfortunately, we do have some numbers where 82 deaths have been confirmed. We do know 48 of those are adults and 27 are children. And still at this hour, there are dozens of people that remain missing. Search and recovery efforts do continue. And we do want to begin with meteorologist Remeisha Shade, because sadly, I know that there's more rain as well on the way. And Remeisha, you were here all weekend long. So you were really here from the beginning, just guiding us through what we could expect in that region. Also here when it comes to that rainfall.
That's right. And days later, I'm still thinking, how is this possible? It's kind of unimaginable, unbelievable. You know, when flash flood warnings, flash flood emergency warnings are issued, that yes, there's the risk of life-threatening flooding, but you never imagine that it's going to lead to so many lives lost. So it's just been a horrific situation. And unfortunately, like you just said, some of the same areas getting hit by heavy rain and flash flooding. Over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and even today, still flash flood warnings going on north and northwest of the Kerrville area. So it's just a very, very sad situation. So I do want to take you to the graphics and kind of review just what happened, what caused this massive flooding. We actually had a major, quick, rapid rise in that water with the Guadalupe River. This was early Friday morning. So this was a holiday, by the way, the early morning hours of the 4th of July. The Guadalupe River, that North Fork and especially the South Fork, that water rapidly started to rise after the Kerrville area, Comfort, Hunt areas received about 6 to 7 inches of rain late Thursday into Friday. So between 3 to 5 a.m., that water really started to rapidly rise. So the North Fork, the South Fork of the Guadalupe River started to rise, and then they merged around the town of Hunt as the river flows eastward. And there was an official early Friday morning that said the Guadalupe River was right around 7 feet, and then several minutes later it was up to 29 feet. You could see that here. This look at our river flooding map for the Guadalupe River at Hunt. Notice that huge spike early Friday morning, right around 3, 4, 5 a.m., where the river rose to close to 30 feet. That's where it crested before it started to fall. But it was such a rapid rise, and a lot of folks, unfortunately, were sleeping or not able to get out in time, and that led to basically a tremendously devastating situation across parts of the Texas Hill Country. So of course, all of that heavy rain initially led to the extreme flooding, and also there was an extreme drought going on in the area before that. So initially the ground really wasn't able to absorb a lot of that water. That led to some quicker flash flooding. Then over the weekend, with the ground saturated and more rain coming down, of course, additional flash flooding. So you can see the rain totals here over the last 5 days or so, anywhere from 8 to about 18 inches of rain. Notice near Kerrville, over a foot of rain, right around 14 inches of rain showing up on our map. So this is what we're dealing with right now. In case you're wondering, what is the danger right now? Well, there's still a flood danger. The risk for some life-threatening flash flooding still in this area. That includes Kerr County, down towards San Antonio, New Braunfels, Austin, Round Rock. Flood watch in place through 7 p.m. Now, what does that mean? That means conditions are favorable for the development of heavy rain that could lead to flash flooding. We're talking about 2 to 4 inches likely, but there could be some isolated 10-inch plus total. So life-threatening flash flooding going to still be a possibility here for parts of central Texas, west central Texas, especially west of Austin, San Marcos, and San Antonio. Notice that red, 3 out of 4 moderate risk for that flash flooding. So this is the danger zone, the highest risk for that flooding today, which kind of borders Kerrville just about, but it does include about half of Kerr County and also up towards Fredericksburg, Junction, Mason, Brady, and over towards Sonora, Llanos, and Saba. So a lot of cities included in this. Current look at our FoxRad radar, at least going over the last few hours, you'll notice the heaviest bands of rain have been setting up just to the northwest of Kerrville. So that's a little bit of good news for Kerrville right now. You're under the risk for the flash flooding, but right now the heaviest of that rain is up towards the Llano area, Junction, just north and northwest of Junction and northwest of Mason. So that's where we currently have some flood advisories and even a few flash flood warnings. Kerrville at this point, San Antonio, you're getting a break from the rain, but of course, oh, watch, a flood watch, means that conditions are still favorable. So you need to be on high alert to act quickly to seek shelter from any flooding that could start to occur. Even in Houston right now, we're getting a more widespread coverage of rain and storms compared to what we had over the weekend. You can see heavy rain down around Angleton, Needville, starting to push close to Katy, Cypress, the Woodlands, Brenham, Navasota, Huntsville, so fairly widespread. Our flood risk is not going to be extremely high. Of course, if you get under one of those slower moving storms, you could get a quick 1 to 2 inches, but I don't think we're going to get 10 inches. But still, if you encounter any flooded roads, find a different way to go. So our futurecast shows as we go through the evening rush for the Texas Hill Country and for Houston, a decent chance for some downpours. Highest flood risk, though, will remain across central Texas and west of the Houston area. That starts to wind down after sunset tonight, and we are expecting more showers and storms to kind of bubble up across the Houston area tomorrow afternoon, and likely a lower coverage of storms for central Texas. So right now in Houston, looking pretty good. We're feeling the heat and humidity, 88 degrees, feels like temp 95 right now. We do have a good scattering of those downpours, but no alerts right now, no flood warnings anywhere, and we don't have any flood watches, so that is some good news. So outside of the rain, you're likely going to soar to the 90s. When you get one of those downpours, you will at least temporarily get a bit of a cool down. Feels like temp right now in Galveston 106, Bay City 104, so it is still dangerous heat, so make sure to be really careful. Notice the big blobs of red and purple and yellow through the evening over Houston, indicating the potential for some heavy downpours from Galveston to Sugar Land to Houston to Baytown between now and about 8, 9 o'clock. That's going to be our best shot before things start to wind down. So just keep in mind that we are closely monitoring things. We are going to be dealing with warm and humid air, that big threat for flooding across central Texas, and of course the threat for scattered storms here. But it has just been a horrible event that's occurred across central Texas, and we keep uncovering new clues, new details as to what happened. But at least over the next day or two, I think the weather there will slowly start to improve. But right now, that flood risk still is continuing, Rashi.
All right, Remeisha, thank you for that.